I'm sharing with you this morning. This story is about two mothers, and one of them is featured in a beautiful song, which was sung by the women of Bayanihan when they went to the women's ministries. And then this is entitled "The God Who Sees," and then talking about a woman, a mother, uh, who felt that nobody cares, felt that felt that she was betrayed, felt that she was just used. And you know this story. It happened in a family where someone has been called faithful. Yes. It was a holy family. It was a family that was specially chosen by God, who appeared before this man, and from then on was promised so many things. And the best promise is that he would be the father of many nations, and that he would bear a child of promise, from whom his loins will come out the Messiah. When God appeared before Abram, Abram was living in a chaotic place. People do not believe in God, they believe in gods. This is a place in Mesopotamia where a lot of people worship different gods. They are enemies, these gods. They worship anybody, anything that seems to be stronger than them. They would worship anything that is more powerful. That is why even their kings and emperors are considered gods. When Abram left, there his wife, whose name is Sarai, you know, could never bear Abraham a child. And that was a problem, because every mother, every wife are expected to bear children in order for the family to continue. Right? Just like us, if we do not have a son, then nobody will carry the family name today. So my father was always telling me, "Hey, you take care of your son, because you know he is the only apo who carries the Bautista." Because my elder sister, of course, even if he does have two sons, you know, it would take the name of the father. Uh, my brother, of course, could carry the name of my father, but both of his children are daughters. So my other sister, the youngest, also has a boy, but of course that boy cannot carry the family name of my father. So I have twins who will not carry my name forever, but there's only one who can carry. So my father would say, "Hey, you take care." When he was still younger, still way younger, take care of this boy. And he was talking to me, and Terps overheard it. He was still very small. And so whenever I would, you know, scold him or spank him, we would say, I'm the only one who carries." Lolo said. Lolo said. You know. So that was the problem of Abram. But God came to him and changed his name, made a covenant, promising him that he will be the father of a great nation. Remember, brothers and sisters, that promise is not the only promise that was available in Abraham's life. As a matter of fact, because of that promise, Abraham felt in his heart that he has a chance of making a name for himself. However, his wife cannot bear him a son. So that was a problem. And so what he did was he jumped ahead of the plan of God. Uh, by the way, Abraham, it was not, this is something, I'm not, I'm not trying to create something controversial today. You know who was responsible responsible for Abraham's decision to take Hagar? Sarai, right? Sarai. When Abraham, Sarai, hey, I will be, I met this stranger, I met God who talked to me and said, you will be a father. But then Sarai said, I cannot bear a son. So how can that happen? And so she said, well, why don't you take my handmaid, right? Hagar. And Hagar was an Egyptian woman. Now, interestingly, Hagar is an Egyptian who became a wife of Abraham. Sarai, because of their, fear, because of Abraham's fear, was almost married to an Egyptian, the Pharaoh. So she almost lost her being the mother of a great nation because of fear. Many women today are so afraid of losing out and, not getting married that, they jump ahead and do a lot of things that they would, in the end, regret. Right? And oftentimes, it will be the mothers who will do the, hey, tumatanda ka na, you're getting old, so come on, you just pick up any man there and, marry that person. And then sadly, what will turn out is that their daughter will end up in a lot of misery and pain. So Sarah almost lost that because they were so afraid of what could happen to them if they go to that country in Egypt. When they went there, and then this king said, "Oh, Abraham, who is this woman?" And he said, "Oh, she's my sister." Right. But then this woman, who is an Egyptian, who is a slave, who has nothing in her, nothing to lose because she has already lost everything, was chosen to become a mother of promise. Did you hear me right?
Yes.
Who was the mother of promise?
Sarah.
Sarai.
Sarai.
Hagar. Mother of all nations yan. Sarah.
Am I reading the
Sarah?
Bible right? Yes. As a matter of
Hagar.
fact, after Abraham slept with Hagar, she became pregnant.
Yes, he good.
And because she was pregnant, Sarah was hurt. Why, God, why are you allowing this to happen? I'm the original wife and I'm not getting pregnant. And so because of jealousy, because of pain and hatred, she told, she treated Hagar with impunity, with harshness, with everything. And Hagar left. She could not withstand the difficult life she was having with her mistress. And so what she did was she ran away even while she was pregnant. She ran away. And she found herself far away, without food, without anything. And you know what happened? there was an angel who came and talked to her. Why do you think the angel came and talked to her? Because she was crying. She was in pain. She is ready to bear a child. But she will bear the child alone in the desert. She was driven away. And so, because this angel promised her, don't worry, the God of your husband Abraham will take care of you. She was there praying for help. And that's a good thing about living in a family of faithful people. Those who are around them, watching them, become acquainted with the God that they serve. I hope, brothers and sisters, as we go about our work and responsibilities, people would also see the God that we serve, right? Through us. Because that is what the experience of Hagar was, the first mother. Hagar was. She prayed. Remember, she's an Egyptian. She doesn't believe. But because she stayed in that family, even if the family became so chaotic, problematic, because of a particular issue about getting children and so on and so forth, she was driven away, treated badly, but she learned about Jesus Christ. I have heard so many of our brothers and sisters. I know of several who were married to non-Adventist military personnel. They were being beaten, men goes philandering, drinking, drugs, everything. But she remained faithful and true until such time that this man, got tired of bullying, of quarreling, etc., that he started to ask questions about the wife's faith. And soon he became a faithful person. It was because of the wife, because of the mother. And so when the angel came, the angel told Hagar, don't worry, this baby in your tummy will survive, and he will be a father of great nations. Now you will remember that the saying, we always think that phrase, the father of many nations, is only given to Isaac. No, 15 years before, it was already promised to Hagar. Even before it was promised to Sarah and Abraham, it was promised to Hagar. Your son will be the father of many, many nations. He will be a great king of many nations. And so he survived. And then the angel said, go back to your employer, to your owners, because slaves were owned before. Although she already received her freedom when Abraham, took her as a wife, because they're concubine wife, because there's another one, Keturah, right? So, even if she has already gained freedom, you would know that she still owes something to her because she is the owner, previous owner. But the promise was there. And so Abraham thought that was already the promise. But God said, after 60 years, Isaac came. Ishmael was already 16 or 15 years old when Isaac started to be weaned off from the mother, from Sarah. And Isaac was named Isaac. Bakit tinawag ni Sarah Isaac? Huh? What's the name of Isaac? Why was he named Isaac?
Ano ang meaning ng Isaac?
You know the story?
Promise eh. Enough ko
Basa.
yung cellphone ko. Pagin na isang cellphone ko dyan.
Di ba?
Yung basa ko na.
Enough.
No. Di ba? Tumawa. That is what it means by Isaac. He laughs.
Sila.
Di ba? Laughter. O sino sinisisi natin? Sino ba tumawa? Sino tumawa? Mga kapatid, ang unang tumawa. Ang pangalan ng Isaac, he laughed.
Sila.
Abraham laughed. He was the original one who laughed because he was already 86 years old when God promised. It's 99 years old when God promised. 86 when God covenanted with him, but he took Hagar. After 50 years, God did not talk to him for those many years because God said, I did not ask you to get another woman. I told you that you will be a father of many nations. But you jumped the cart. You went ahead of the plan and you listened to your wife and got Hagar. But now God said, listen. Again, Abraham was there. God said, listen to your wife, what your wife will say. And the wife said, get rid of Hagar and Ishmael. That was 16 years after. Again, this mother was rejected, was abandoned, was felt uncared for, suffered, was again hurting and in pain for the second time. They were driven away from their home. And then she remembered again. Hagar remembered again. The first encounter when she said, ito yung words ni Hagar. When God showed her a wellspring of water so that she and her baby in the tomb would live, she called that place Bir Lahai Roy, which means
That's why wala yun.
the wellspring of the God who sees. The God who sees. The God who sees. God sees the sufferings. Yung sinabi niyo nga kanina sa Sabbath school. You might be a woman, a mother, who have served your children for many years, and yet oftentimes you feel that you are not appreciated. Some of women have born children to their families, to their in-laws, and yet the in-laws still do not accept them. There have been mothers, not by choice, but by violence, rape, but they still continue on. Abuse still continue on. There are mothers who have ungrateful children, making their lives more miserable than ever. Mothers whose husbands have been abused of them. Mothers who have felt in their lives that nobody really truly cares about them. There are so many mothers today. As a matter of fact, here in the United States, more than half of children are born without fathers.
Yeah. They are.
Raised by
But in
single
the
moms.
production.
That's the
Same
tragedy
like Jamaica.
of our times. I know some of you have also ridden the same bandwagon. But the message for you today, if ever you have any of these doubts in your lives, pains and hardships as parents, as mothers, that there is a God who has shown you a wellspring of life because He sees you. He looks at you. As a matter of fact, it was Hagar. Remember, Hagar. Hagar was the first human being. Take note, listen. Hagar was the first human being, and in that, the first woman who gave God a name. Usually those who give God a name are men in the Bible, are faithful men, are chosen men of God who gives God names. But here in this case, it was Hagar who named God El Roy, a God who sees. Imagine that. Because she experienced the hand of God. And when the son was born, Ishmael, she named him Ishmael, which means God hears.
Yes.
Imagine, man. Isaac was named Isaac. He laughed.
He loved.
And that was Sarah, that was Abraham, who named him Isaac. But here is a woman who was an Egyptian, who just was converted to the faith of Abraham because of the faith that she learned from the household of Abraham. And yet she was the one who prayed and prayed and believed, and whom God showed Himself powerfully. That's why she said, Hagar said, the God who sees me in my despair, in my distraught, in my distress, in my problem, in my heartaches, in my need, He is the God who sees. Mothers, it is only through God's power and strength that you will be able to see through life, because He is the God who sees. And when God sees you, this is what it means. Di ba? Children loves. Remember when they were younger, di ba? When you will bring them to a carnival, yeah, and kayo ba mga mothers ngayon, nakasakay kayo ng, have you ridden a
merry-go-round.
merry-go-round?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
A Ferris wheel.
Ferris wheel.
But yung,
The merry-go-round. Yeah.
right?
In Central Park there is, right? A roller coaster. No, roller coaster.
Merry-go-round na lang kasi mapapal.
Merry-go-round. Yeah.
Di ba? Each time, you and I, Kate, na-experience mo ba yan, Kate? Each time, yeah, every now and then you will pass by your mom or your dad, you will wait.
Yeah. It's true.
Because you want your parents, your mom to see you.
Yeah.
Di ba?
Yeah.
And even today, athletes and big people will always thank somebody in their lives. Especially, I wish, and they would say, if they're already old and they achieve something, they would always say, I wish that my parents would have seen me achieve success like this. Di ba? Sana nakita nila, sana buhay pa sila para nakita nila. You know, brothers and sisters, that is what it means to have parents, especially you, mom. We want our children, to see us. To see us. We want us to see. We want them to see us. And each time we are there, we are actually showing, our protection, our care. When my daughter Jenny, I don't know if I share this story here, got lost. How many of you have gone back to Manila and visited MOA, Mall of Asia? Did you alam motivation?
I know. I work there. Yeah, this pastor.
Raise your
Yeah.
hands. I want to see. When she was lost, because, yung kanyang Hagar, binitawan siya, yung kanyang,
Yaya.
Yeah.
yeah. So, so she got lost. But I was, whenever there are children that are with me, whether in school, in class, I would always walk behind. Because I consider myself always the sweeper. No? I want to see that everyone is accounted for. I don't want any strugglers. I don't want anyone who is left behind. So I'm always at the end and trying to count. And even if they're there when they were still small in a swimming pool, I would always try to figure out where they are. So that is my duty. That is my duty. Children, I will count every one of them. Every now and then I will count. I will count. I want to see where they are. That is what it means when God sees. He wants your protection. He wants your safety. So I saw, so I was walking. I know all the others, the mother, the brother and sister was already up ahead. The yayas were up ahead in Mall of Asia. Mall of Asia is once upon a time, the biggest mall in Asia, right? So there were a lot of people, unlike here when you go to malls, there are, you can count people who are there. But in the Philippines, right, in the Philippines, multitudes of people go there, especially summer. Not to buy anything, but just to enjoy the air conditioning, right? So I was watching, and I see her lost. But she kept looking around, trying to find that person where she could say, where she could ask for help from. And that usually is a parent. But when you lock eyes with her, she would say, oh. That's why children will always look back and see if you are looking at them. Right? If they're already busy playing, they will always look at the stand. If they're playing soccer, baseball, basketball, they will always look if you're there. When your child gets a bucket shot or a score or something, they will always look at the stand whether you're looking or not. If you're not looking, because they want, when a person sees you, a person does not only protect you. When God sees you, it's not only about protection, but also pleasure. Right? You want to please the person on the stand. So when God, sees you, He applauds you and says, good job, my son. Good job, my daughter. That is what Hagar experienced. And I hope that our children also, even today, experience that this is a God who sees my suffering, who sees and looks at me in my pain, in my sorrows, in my problems. This is a God who sees. And He is here to protect me. He is here to show me His pleasure. As a matter of fact, Jesus Christ, when He was baptized, that is what He said, right? Remember what Jesus Christ said? Oh, it was not Jesus Christ, it was God, the Father, who said, this is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased. I see Him obeying and following me. Oh, when God sees you, it is not just, because there are people today who see you but do not notice you. Yeah? When there are so many people, that, I think I saw you. Yeah? Oh, I was there during this time. And then the person said, oh, wait a minute. I think I saw you. You were in that dress. Red one, right? So people oftentimes see us but do not notice anything else about what happened. That is not who God is. Because when God saw Hagar, He did not just say this and that. He said, He sat down with her and told her that your son will survive, you will survive, and he will be a father of many nations.
Nations.
There is also a promise there that even if you were rejected, abandoned, you will still be the mother of that son who will be the father of a great, great nation. And do you know who are the ancestors? Ancestors of Ishmael? Alam niyo ba kung sino ngayon? Muslims.
Muslim.
Because the name of Ishmael also means submission. That's why Islam, Islam, it means submission. Yeah. So when you hear the word Islam, that means Muslim people who submit to Allah. I do not know with the other mother, Sarah, that today Christians are fighting against each other. Christians are no longer representing their God. Muslims are never afraid to tell people that they're Muslims. Right? They wear their turban, they wear their shirts, they wear everything that would identify them as Islam, as Muslim. But Christians oftentimes are hiding their identity. We don't even want to share, our faith. We don't want them to know that, well, if Christians have difficulty doing that, how much more Adventists? That's why when we see something there that's, that we can rationalize as not bad, okay pa naman eh. Maaga pa. Ito naman eh, hindi naman siguro. I'll just eat one of these. Just to be, just to belong. So that they will not, think of me as weird. So there are many things that we compromise. But these who came from the family who was rejected, was thrown out of their household, still remain true to their faith. That's why today there is what we call Balik Islam. I don't know if there are, if we even reach out to those who are previously Adventists. Balik Christian, Balik Adventista. But let me tell you this, brothers and sisters, mainly mothers. The story today is about two mothers. One who remained true and faithful despite all the hurts and pains in life. Who clung to God, who called to God, who God spoke to. Just imagine this. Just imagine this. Hagar, who came from Egypt, a non-believer, God sat down with him and spoke with him twice. Because at 16 years old, when they were driven away, Abraham gave them food and water in a skin, in a container. And when it ran out, she left her son under a tree and walked further away because she doesn't want to see her son die. But this mother was praying. And you know what your Bible tells you? Genesis chapter 21. Genesis chapter 21. And God heard the prayer of Ishmael, the son. Imagine, a converted mother taught her child about God. Even in a chaotic, even in a problematic household, she remained true and faithful and taught her son. Of course, she had faults. Of course, she has fears. Of course, she has a family that is, is uncertain. But God sees all of this. God saw her fault. God saw her fears. God saw her future. God saw a fruitful future. You know, when God looks at you, mothers, even if you feel unworthy, even if you feel you lack the skills, even if you have regrets about being a mother, God sees all of this. He sees the bad that you have done, but He forgives. That is what happened. And in Genesis chapter 21, when they were out again in the desert, God told and reminded her once more, Ishmael, 16 years old, will continue to be the father of many nations. Of course, the Messiah will not come from her bloodline, but he will still be. He will not end here. He will not die here in the desert. And I hope that is also a message for you mothers. Once you have taught your children the way of the Lord, even though what happens to them in their life, God has promised you. Once you have dedicated your children to God, He promises you, I will, as I have seen you, I will also see them through their life. Isn't that the best news that could happen, that you could hear as mothers? That your children are faithful to God.
Amen.
That the things you have shared, that's why mothers keep on praying, praying, praying. Isa nga ako, nahihiya na minsan kasi each time my mom would call us, she would pray. She would always remind, we are praying for you. I said, I'm 50 years old. I already have children, and so on and so on. But my mom said, I will still be your mom. And I will continue praying for you from day one up to your 50 years, non-stop. Every time she kneels and prays, she always mentions our name. You know, mothers, that's why for you children, honor your mother. Yes, and that is a commandment, that your days may be long upon the land. And for you mothers, I hope that like Hagar, you know, the thing there is that there was no record that God sat and spoke to Sarah directly. Di ba? As a matter of fact, the three visitors spoke with Abraham and they asked, where is Sarah? Oh, Abraham said, oh, she is inside the tent. And that's when she laughed also. That's the second laugh. But the name is from Abraham.
God
He
is close
laughed.
to the brokenhearted.
You know, brothers and
God is
sisters,
close to the brokenhearted.
Yeah.
sometimes you might feel that being a mother is so difficult. And you want to raise your hands and surrender. But my brothers and sisters, it was God who allowed that to happen in your life, to become mothers. Take that role seriously. And if you feel that sometimes it's not enough what you do, remember, you have a God of the wellspring who sees you.
Amen.
That's why our prayer is in Numbers chapter 6, verse 24
To 26.
and 26. Can you read that again? And I'd like this text. You recite this to yourselves, mother, while we, the rest of us, Numbers chapter 6, verse 24 to
24
26.
26.
Let this be my prayer, our prayer, and your prayer upon yourself today. Let's pray. The Lord bless you, mothers, and protect you, mothers. The Lord make His face shine on you, our mothers, and be gracious to you, our mothers. The Lord look with favor on you, our mothers, and give you peace, now and forever. In Jesus' name, the God who sees. Everybody say,
Amen.
God bless you.